Today's the Naina Radio experience is brought to you by something called the Local Tribe. They sent me a bunch of questions that they wanted me to answer as an interview. In the blog post below, I've included a link to their beta service. They haven't launched fully to the public as well, but you can take a look. It's very interesting. It is slightly different from what you will normally see, and once you go to the website, you know what I mean. The questions they have for me, which I'm going to answer in this interview, are will give a little more explanation about who I am, what I do, where I come from, what are some of my most favorite gigs, etc. So there are 5 questions. The first question is, you are a brilliant lifestyle photographer. What is the story behind your journey into photography? So as a child, I used to use my dad's camera all the time. He had I still have that camera. It's a Fujifilm analog camera. And I was just interested in sketching and painting and photography, and whenever I could save up some pocket money, I would go and buy film rolls and I would use it in that camera, and then I would wait for next week's pocket money and then use the money to get that film roll developed. And it was an interesting way to keep myself engaged. And I used to have a lot of free time. We used to live in these beautiful cantonment areas because my dad was in the army, and I started with the whole flowers and insects and portraits of the family and things like that. After that, I did realize that it was expensive and getting film rolls developed, and I couldn't shoot as much as I would have liked to. And then eventually my parents brought me a point and shoot camera. It was really cheap. It was available in the canteen. It was a plastic Kodak, black colored, and it had a flash, and you would just open the back, put the film roll in it, close it, and then you would just shoot 36 frames and hope you get some extra in. And then I also I used that for a really long time. Then I bought a red colored one, cheap plastic again, and it was great to just have something around and carry it around with you and take photographs. My first digital camera was this Sony silver grey colored thing that I used for and I had one memory card, and it was a 12 megapixel camera. It was a lot of fun. You could carry it. You could take all these amazing photos at night with a flash and low light that the point and shoot could never match. And with that is what I photographed my first client assignment, which was the Mundra SEZ for the Adani group, and a friend had said that, would you like to photograph this, and it would be an interesting experience. So we took the analog camera, the Fuji analog film camera, and I took the Sony Cybershot, I think it was, I'm not really sure. I don't have it anymore because I lost the Sony Cybershot. I left it on an airplane and I never got it back. I didn't even get the data back that I had on it, but it wasn't the client assignment. That was in 2006. So that's the first assignment I did, and I still remember the client saying, looking at me and going, "Where's the production crew? Where's the big camera?" And I was like, in the kind of budget that you have, this is what you're going to get. And I did tell them that if you didn't like it, you didn't have to pay me, but you could look at the photographs first. And luckily, the client was quite surprised that those 2 cameras produced those images. And they did pay me, and all that money got spent just developing the film rolls. I didn't make any money on that assignment. But that was quickly followed up by another assignment, which I shot at the Siaram Silk Mills, textile factories. And then there was a gap of about 4 or 5 years before I actually picked up photography on a DSLR. So a friend of mine got a DSLR from me, and I photographed my sister's wedding on it. And that's what kind of kicked off the whole blogging and photography, and people saw my work and they wanted to hire me. And then I started doing all kinds of work, and I bought bigger lenses, and I bought better cameras, and now I'm here and I shoot the kind of things that I enjoy shooting. I love working with clients who understand what photography is all about, and who give me free rein after they've given me a nice, good brief. So that's basically how it came to be right now. I know it sounds very easy right now, but there've been hard times, and professionalism is still a huge fight on a daily basis. But I enjoy photography. It's like the camera is like an extension of my hand. I collect experiences on it, is what I call it. Okay, that answers the first question. The second one, how do you prepare for a shoot? So if it's a client shoot, then there is a brief. Usually the clients will tell me, some of the questions that I ask them is, where are the images going to be used? Which determines what kind of licensing is required, whether it will be used in print or it will be used in digital, whether it will be used for advertising, whether the images will be used to sell a product, which will be then, commercial usage. Then I ask the clients for how many hours will the shoot go on, approximately, number of hours, number of days. Then what are the number of images do they need, like an approximate figure, if they don't know what an exact figure is. Some clients who hired photographers earlier have a clear idea in their head that, okay, we need 8 photos or we need 100 photos. But some of them don't, because they're engaging with a photographer for the first time. Yes, there still are clients who do that. So then as a photographer, I need to know, and so then I can decide the scope of the project. Then I can decide, I need to know what is the setting, where is the shoot going to be happening, what time of day is it going to be happening. If it's indoors, will the indoors be well lit? If it's outdoors, will it be in shade, will it be in the sun, things like that. Then I can decide what equipment I need, what are my charges going to be, what the scope of the contract is going to be. And then once the contract and everything is finalized, then I decide, okay, the next day I have my shoot. So the day before that, I should have all my batteries charged. If I've decided I need to take a speed light, then the speed light batteries need to be charged. What backup camera am I taking? What's my primary camera going to be? And on the basis of that, on the basis of the contract, I also give the client an estimate of how long it's going to take to edit the images and for me to deliver the images to them in high resolution, low resolution with watermark, without watermark. Am I going to be blogging it as part of my portfolio and things like that. So, I mean, now I think I've come to a stage where I'm quite comfortable. I don't get nervous anymore. I still get excited, especially if it's a great client. Then I'll be like, oh, like tomorrow it's going to be fun, and during the shoot it's a lot of fun. But I don't get nervous anymore. I know I can go pretty much anywhere and I can shoot great photos. You need to be sure about technical stuff, like what if your primary camera fails? Do you have a backup camera? What if your primary speed light fails? Do you have a backup speed light? Sometimes during the shoot, the client will come to you and say, oh, hey, can we get this extra shot that maybe you're not prepared for, so how can you make that happen? So things like that. But I think the more experience you have, the more you kind of know how to deal with all this stuff. So that's how I prepare for it. Get a good night's sleep. Be sure to wear comfortable shoes so that I don't forget. If I'm shooting outdoors in Delhi, wear full sleeves so that there are no mosquito bites. But that's pretty much it. Make sure I'm hydrated, I eat properly, I don't skip any meals, so that I always have like a granola bar or something in my bag that I can just chomp on. Take care of myself so that I can do a good job. Okay, so that's question 2. Third one is, when you work on commercial photography as opposed to your personal work, what is something that you refuse to compromise on? I absolutely refuse to compromise on unprofessionalism. Yes, we're all here to make friends, but when it is a professional gig, I expect to be treated as a professional, and I will treat you as a professional, and we can talk about it. The personal differences coming into a professional assignment is something that I will not compromise on. We're here to do work. I'm here to deliver good work. You expect good work from me, and you get that, and everything else can be resolved over a beer or a coffee. I don't want personal agendas and personal differences to crop up and ruin the assignment. That is an absolute no-no. And unprofessionalism, not happening. I mean, if I have questions and I want them clarified, I'll have them clarified, and if I think that this is not working, it's not working. There is no need to force something if it doesn't flow naturally, if the client doesn't feel comfortable discussing with me, or I'm straightforward, for example. I don't mince words, and I don't see why a lot of people think that that's rude. It's just everything is on the table. I prefer it like that. I don't want any politics. That's absolutely something that I don't want to compromise on, ever. The other thing I think commercial shoots, especially in India, that I don't want to compromise on is my safety. Whether it is the chauffeur service that's coming and picking me up, it needs to be a nice cab, it needs to be a verified driver. Timings can ideally be such that I don't have to come back at midnight after my shoot. Things like if there's a shoot happening, then I can keep my extra equipment at a place where it doesn't get stolen. My own personal safety, I don't fall off somewhere while shooting. Things like that. I mean, if I know it's a dangerous gig, then everything needs to be in place before I attempt that shoot, for example. So that's, professionalism is the only thing that I will not compromise on. And obviously it comes up only in commercial shoots. Cool. Question number 4. You must have quite a collection of cameras. What is your favorite to take photos with? I don't really have a very large collection. I've got like 4 cameras, I guess. 4 cameras that I use on and off. I switch between. I do have more that I don't really touch, which are the film cameras. If in an ideal scenario, I would shoot with the Nikon D810 everywhere, because it just produces great photographs, and I have a lot of leeway to do the post-production and edit the photos when I've shot them in a raw format. So definitely it would be the D810. But it's not really convenient, because then when you're using that camera, I'm like, oh, should I use the long lens, which is a 7200, and suddenly the weight of the camera is just ballooned. And I can't carry that around, especially when I'm traveling, or if I'm walking around, or when I go to, for example, New York and I spend 30 days there, I can't carry that camera with me every day. It takes away from the joy of photography. So if it's convenience that you're talking about, or I love shooting on my phone, and these days I'm using the HTC One A9, and it's even better than the HTC One M8, and that's why the camera to me is so important, and on a phone. And I love shooting with it. I can do short videos, I can do photographs, I can do panoramas, and the A9 even has a RAW feature, so I can actually shoot raw images, and I can come back and edit them in Lightroom. So currently this is my favorite. The phone, the A9 is my favorite for shooting photos. Okay, question number 5 is, of all the projects you have done and people you have photographed, does any specific moment or picture stick out in your mind? All the projects I've done and the people I've photographed. Specific moment or picture. Well, I don't know about pictures, but there was this one moment where I literally went it was one of my favorite assignments. This was the St. Regis brand launch, which happened in Jaipur in January 2015, that I photographed for Starwood. And one of my favorite clients, Anjali Mehra. Hi Anjali! I was in Jaipur for 2-3 days, and I was photographing the dinner at the City Palace, the polo match and the Jaipur Polo Grounds. And I remember there was this one moment, Nacho Figueras was there with his wife and his children, and he's a polo player, and he's he's been the face of Polo Ralph Lauren. And I was photographing him, and the polo match had finished, and the ceremony was going on. Trophies were being given out, champagne was being poured, and I was done. And the camera was on my shoulder, and the 24-70 lens was on the camera, and it was without the lens cap, because I didn't want to miss anything. Just in case I saw there was something that I need to shoot, I could just pick it up and shoot. So I didn't want to put the lens cap on it. And I turned around, and there was this loud clang. And so Nacho's daughter was there, and she was holding a trophy in her hand. And she was having fun, and she was enjoying, and someone had handed her a trophy, and she had swung it right into my lens. And I did not even want to look down at my lens, because I was like, oh my god, this is not happening. And the shoot was still, there was still another day of shooting left, and I was like, I don't think I can even look at the camera. And I was like, what do you do in such a situation? You can't blame the child, and you can't really blame me either, because I was shooting, and I was like, oh my god. And then finally I was like, well, I have to take a look at it, and I looked at it, and luckily the trophy had smashed into the edge of the lens, which is covered by a very thin metal cover, like just on the edges. You can, if it's not stuck properly, you can actually take it out. It was literally a millimeter off, and if it had been a millimeter inside, it would have hit the lens, and the front glass would have definitely cracked. I will never forget that moment. It still freaks me out just thinking about it. But it was such an amazing assignment. I mean, it was great. 3 days of just photography. The client had given me free rein, and I produced some really amazing photographs of those absolutely stunning settings. The other assignment which I just finished photographing recently was for Luxottica for Vogue Eyewear, where I was shooting behind the scenes. And it's going to be one of those assignments that it's going to take forever to be surpassed. The client was amazing, Aditi. The setting was amazing. The senior photographer, Atul Kasbekar, was photographing the bloggers. Super professional. Elton Fernandez was doing the makeup. Again, consummate professional. Rishi Raj was doing the styling with Ruchika. Professional. People were like delivering their work. No one was bothering me. I was doing my work, and I did produce some of the best images I have made so far of the bloggers who were there. And it was just... I still don't want to do it. It's so yeah. I think the Luxottica Vogue Eyewear assignment and the St. Regis assignment, they were amazing to work on. I produced great work. My clients were great. So yeah, 2015. These are the two assignments that I am extremely happy about. Cool. So those are the 5 questions that I have answered for the local tribe. Thank you for asking these questions, Auntie. It's always been fantastic interacting with you, and I really enjoy discussing work and working in India with you, and I love sitting down, having a coffee with you. And I hope we can work more on the local tribe project, and I'm looking forward to seeing the interview on the website. And thanks for listening, people, to another episode of the Naina Redu Experience. See ya!